Let's get one thing straight. The choices you think you make freely, most of them are the end result of a carefully executed strategy. Today, we're not just looking at ads. We are reverse engineering the psychological blueprints that dictate what you buy, who you trust, and what you believe. This is an intelligence briefing on the codes of influence.
Forget the idea of simple persuasion. What we're talking about is a form of psychological architecture. It's about designing a reality, a context, where the target's decision is a foregone conclusion. The architect guides you through the building without you ever realizing you're on a predetermined path. Your choice is merely the final step in their blueprint.
So, what does this architecture actually look like on the ground? How are our decisions really being engineered? To understand that, you have to know the code. And today, we're cracking open 3 of the most powerful codes that have been used to shape human behavior for decades. Pay attention. First things first. Code 1. You need to understand that in the world of influence, facts are secondary. The most valuable asset, the true currency of persuasion, is narrative. A powerful story will always outperform a spreadsheet. Always. Look at the difference between official channels and word of mouth. Top-down official information, it immediately puts our defenses up. We're skeptical. But a rumor, a story passed from peer to peer, that's different. It slips past our critical filters because it's built on trust. It feels authentic, exclusive. It's an insider briefing, not a public announcement.
Right. And as Jean-Noel Cafferer points out, we rarely verify anything ourselves. We can't. So we delegate trust. And in a high-stakes environment, who do you trust? Your own circle. That's why a quiet recommendation from a trusted peer carries more operational weight than a $10 million ad campaign. It's a signal of belonging.
And these narratives don't just appear, they gain power systematically. It starts with ambiguity, a vacuum of information. A story rushes in to provide meaning. If the official channels are silent, the story's value skyrockets. It becomes a scarce resource. Then, as it spreads, social proof kicks in, validating the narrative and making it an accepted truth within the group.
Okay, so you have the narrative. Now for code 2. The story is useless if you don't understand the psychological terrain of your target. Let me be clear. Effective persuasion is never about your product. It is always about a forensic understanding of your target's mind.
The evolution here is critical. The 1950s approach was brute force, mass market appeals to simple desires, puts life back into dry hair. Today, the approach is surgical. You don't target a problem, you target an identity. You focus on the deep drivers of the affluent, security, status, and above all, a frictionless existence. Why? Because friction undermines their identity as a smart, effective operator.
But making assumptions about your target is a rookie mistake, a fatal one. You think you know what drives the wealthy? The research from the millionaire next door shows half of them have never spent more than 29 grand on a car. This isn't just a fun fact. It's a tactical lesson. Your assumptions are worthless. Real operators use data, not stereotypes, to map the target's mind.
All right, Code Tree. This is where we weaponize the intelligence. This is the toolkit, the specific, field-tested tactics that translate psychological insight and narrative strategy into action. This is where theory gets its hands dirty.
First tool from the kit? The Godfather offer. This isn't just a good deal. It's an offer so heavily weighted in the target's favor that saying no feels like a strategic blunder. It's designed to make acceptance the only logical move on the board.
Next, you have to find the hot button. This isn't their stated reason for wanting something. It's the deep emotional driver they might not even admit to themselves. And you don't find it with pleasantries. You extract it with what we call power questions, designed to bypass the rational mind and hit the emotional core that actually makes the decision.
And finally, the greased slide. Once you've activated the hot button, the path to yes must be completely frictionless. Every word, every image, every step in the process is engineered to guide them smoothly to the close. Any resistance, any friction, shatters the entire construct. Agreement must be the path of least resistance.
And what's really fascinating is that these principles are timeless. The delivery system changes, but the strategy is the same. In the 50s, authority was America's #1. Today, you get there by prompting an AI to write as a sleep-deprived NASA engineer. The weapons evolve, but the psychological objective, projecting authority, creating belonging, is eternal. So that brings us to the modern battlefield. How are these timeless codes deployed with the speed and precision that technology now allows? What's the new operating doctrine? The doctrine comes from an unexpected place. software development. It's a framework called Scrum. It's designed for building complex systems through short, intense work cycles called sprints. And that framework is now the operating system for modern persuasion.
Forget the old model of launching one massive, slow campaign. Modern teams operate in rapid sprints. They brainstorm a backlog of narratives, select one to test, refine it based on real-time feedback, and analyze the data to plan the next sprint. It's a constant loop of testing, learning, and redeploying. It's agile narrative warfare.
So there you have it. Persuasion isn't some dark art. It's a system, an architecture built on interlocking codes of narrative, psychology, and tactical language. Now that you can see the blueprint, you have a choice. You can question the narratives you're being fed, and you can begin to understand your own decisions and the decisions of others with a whole new level of strategic clarity.